Hello, everyone. Here I am. I hope you can all hear me and see me well. If you could just confirm that on chat, just put in if you can hear me and see me. That would be helpful just to confirm that everything's working as it should be. But welcome to the first session of Galactic News, updates from the Light Alliance. And I'm going to be sharing with you a lot of things this morning and showing you what's happening in the world. So what we're going to do is I'm going to first share with you a little bit about how this works. So if you want to ask a question, you can see in the little message there, you go under the chat and you ask a question by going to the left of the cloud, left where it says write your message, and there's a little cloud. You click on that and it will allow you to ask a question. With a question, then it will show up in red so that I know which ones are questions and which ones are just comments. Okay, so that's going to be important for us in this process. And so also I won't be able to answer everyone's question because there's going to be too many. We have a lot of people on this call, and so right now we're at about 183. There's a lot more people than that signed up, so I expect we're going to have a very large number. So that's great. And so if some of you may have troubles hearing me, that's your system somehow is not quite connecting, and that is always a challenge. But I think everyone else is having, from the feedback, people can see and hear me. So thank you very much for that. I looked at all the surveys that you sent. Thank you for answering those. And I got a lot of questions and comments from there. And it's very helpful in orienting what I would like to share with you. So what we're going to do this morning is we're going to start with a very brief meditation. And then we will move into, I'm going to give a summary, a short summary of some of the key points in the book, The Transfiguration of Our World. We have about half and half, people who have read the book and people who have not read the book. So I need to sort of give enough of a background so everyone's kind of sort of has some familiarity with it. And then I'm going to go into new things, new updates, and what is happening in the world and how that's relevant. And then we'll move on into the questions and answers. So that is how we're going to proceed. So let's begin by having a brief moment of silence and meditation as we connect together. Taking a few deep breaths, breathing in peace and stillness, breathing out everything else, just letting everything go. Focusing in your heart, feeling a radiant sun of light and love in your heart. Feel that sun getting brighter and stronger, more and more radiant, filling your entire being with light and love, rising upwards through your central channel to an even greater sun above your head, which represents your soul, your superconscious. And we invite each of our souls to be present with us as we open into soul consciousness and sense and become aware of the soul, which is all of us, in a unified field of love, the matrix of love, which is our true home, our true superconscious state of being, which is where we are and live, and towards which the entire world is moving into this full experience of the matrix of love. Feel that power, that love, that joy in this higher field, which is the unified field that connects us with the great field of all life throughout our planet throughout our solar system, and throughout the galaxy. We are one with that one life. It is our true source and our true home. And we are engaged in a deep process of learning to live from this state of being and consciousness. And that process is called transfiguration. Just allow this light and love to fill you and raise you. Giving you the reassurance and the knowing that we and you are all one. Thank you. Okay, so I hope that was a good start for all of us. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to share with you just a brief bit about where all of this is coming from, because some of you have asked about that I have had a deep inner contact with a spiritual master for the last 20 years and have been trained in how to connect with him and other beings on the inner planes, and have been given a great deal of information about what is happening on our world, why it is the way it is, and where it's intended to go. This master is a leader in the unfoldment of this plan for Earth and is working with many levels of higher beings beyond anyone I can approach, and is transmitting information about what we can expect, who is helping us, how this is unfolding. And I've been asked to share all this with you, and I've been doing that now for some year or so, several years. And it's my greatest joy and my greatest service to offer this. And of course, it's offered purely as a free choice for you to consider, and as a soul, and using your own intuition and your sense of it to decide what's relevant and useful to you and what is not, and to just use whatever is helpful and let go of anything that isn't. And that's the way I am presenting it. It's your free will choice, however you would like to respond to it. So I wanted to just make that very clear. So let's begin with talking a little bit about where this all began. Earth itself is meant to be a beautiful planet that is filled with love and light, and was a garden planet, really, and it was meant to provide abundance for all beings who live on it. And a long time ago, many millennia ago, a group of beings from outside the planet who were predatory type of species came in here and were able to enter and through an anomaly in the time-space continuum and lodge themselves on the planet. They were discovered by the light guardians of the planet, and a decision was made to allow them to stay on the planet. They could have been removed, but they were allowed to remain in order to create for humanity a choice between light and dark through all of our experience on this planet. So they were here, they set up control systems, and they offered a way of greed and selfishness to humanity. And at the same time, the spiritual masters and all the great spiritual teachers, Christ, Buddha, Muhammad, and many, many other great teachers came forward to show us the way of light. And we have been in the process of choosing one or the other throughout all of our history, and from the karma of our choices, learning to make better choices in the future. That has been our actual evolutionary process. And that's what's been going on for a very, very long time. So these forces of control have been working their way into systems and gaining more and more power and control over the world. And there was the masters have been trying to help humanity free themselves of this control. And this has been an ongoing struggle for the heart and soul of humanity for a very, very long time. So this control has gotten more and more extreme, and we saw one manifestation of it was World War II, where they tried to take over the world through the Nazi Axis alliance, but they were defeated by the Allied powers with some help from outside the planet. But they were only driven off to the astral plane, sealed up behind a door where evil dwells. But we had to keep that door closed by continuing to not indulge in selfish negative behaviors. We were not able to do that. So they came back out, reinstituted their control of the world after the war, and that is what we've been living in ever since. With the great struggle of so many beautiful people, lighted beings, to free ourselves of this control, at the same time, it has been a very big challenge. So they have been increasing this, and their final step in their plan to really take over the world was 9/11, which was a false flag operation to create fear and to allow them to eliminate more of the freedoms especially in the United States, through the Patriot Act, move into the Middle East and take over the oil, and instill such fear that humanity would be more controllable. However, the 9/11 was an extremely important event, but not for all the reasons we think. Because what happened was the situation on the Earth became so dire that the Solar Council, the higher beings who are the solar level of our existence, because our Earth is a chakra in the body of the solar being, just like all the planets are. And the condition of our planet, with the control of the darkness here on the planet, was making it impossible for the solar system to move forward to its higher level of evolution. And it needed to do that. And so when they saw that after 9/11, the control was increasing, a decision was made at the solar systemic level that these dark forces were removed from the planet. The leadership, the 50 aliens who came in and started this process, were the galactic civilizations who surround us, because we're not alone here, were given permission to remove those dark forces from Earth and begin a process of providing more help and support to humanity. They were all removed or turned to the light. Some of them were turned to the light. And then ongoingly, we have now seen an increasing amount of light and support and help being given to humanity at many, many different levels. And that Galactic Light Alliance actually has now become the Galactic Earth Light Alliance, because there have been many, many contacts between that Light Alliance and the leadership of Earth, and many people who are working, bringing in the light, doing positive projects and work for humanity. They have all are being supported by that Light Alliance. And that's a very, very important process. It's carefully calibrated, because we have free will, and that must be respected and honored by the galactic civilizations. They cannot just come in and rescue us. They're not going to do that. But what they can do is, every time we take a step to free ourselves, to help others, to bring in more light and love to this planet, and to expand and free ourselves of all the negative aspects of our being and of our world, they can give us more energy. It's like a calibrated thing. You can think of it as a matching grant. Every time we do something positive, they can give us more. So it's really a wonderful energetic matching grant that's going on, and that's what's happening on the planet right now. So there's a lot of movement going on, as we can see, and I'll talk more about this as we go forward. So now we have the situation on Earth where there has been this formation of real deep cooperation and co-creation going on our planet. There has been a well-developed plan that has been created to help free us in every area of human life. Now, one of the primary control systems has been the financial system. That is the way most of humanity has been controlled. And that is really what's happening. However, there is a whole new plan now that's been developed, including heads of state, finance ministers from all over the world, who have actually put together a clear plan on how this is going to be unfolded. And I'm going to share that with you. So that plan for the reform of our financial system, first of all, interest-based money loans is going to be eliminated. That is the biggest part of the problem, because everything we buy, every product and service, 50% of the cost is the cost of interest on the money used to produce the product or service. So that's going to be eliminated. We are going to have a new worldwide currency backed by gold and commodities, which everyone will trust and will be totally stable. It will not change or fluctuate, and there will be no interest whatsoever associated with the issuing of this currency. National currencies will be convertible in and out of this stable worldwide currency. All banks will be rechartered. They will have the charters revoked, and new charters will be issued. Banks will move from being for-profit corporations owned by a small group of families who gain all the profit from the banks to functioning like public service utilities. So they will provide loans at a fee, but not at interest. They will provide facilitate economic transactions and activity. That will be another part of what they do. And they will make it possible for us to do all the things we need to do, and without gaining massive amounts of tax of the interest on everything. The other thing that's going to happen is all the money that's been accumulated by these, as we call them, the 1%, it will be taken, and anything that's gained illicitly, illegally, or in ways that have harmed the world will be confiscated and distributed to all the people of the world. The plan is that there will be a rebuilding and a reordering of the entire world system, and there will be a wonderful new process instituted to build the housing and provide healthcare and education for everyone on the planet. That is the plan, and it is very carefully being developed. Now, in your questions, you asked about proof. And I understand we all need to have proof. It's very important. So I'm going to share with you some things that have been happening in the financial system. First of all, over the last 3 years, over 2,500 CEOs, CFOs, and the top level executives in hedge funds, mutual funds, banks, and other financial institutions have resigned, been indicted, or disappeared in all countries of the world. People have done statistical analysis of this, and it's 10 times the norm. What's happening is these leaders are being giving notice that they have to either resign or they will be indicted. They will be called to account for what they have done. That is underway. It's very actively underway, and people are being brought in who are more lighted and more aligned with the Light Alliance. That's happening throughout the financial system worldwide. The second thing that's happening is the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, have gotten together, created this new Asian Investment Infrastructure Bank, and that is replacing the IMF. It will be governed as a group consensus decision-making, and it will be run for the benefit of all people. That is now also underway and has about 30 or 40 sponsors from all the major countries of the world. And that's also underway. And there are indications that the control of the Federal Reserve in the United States is shifting from the cabal to the actual Light Alliance. There's all kinds of things showing up. One indicator is it used to be the Federal Reserve. When you went online to find it, was a .org institution. It's now it's .gov, meaning that it's under the governmental umbrella. And the information we're getting, and I've had this confirmed, although it's not confirmed outwardly yet, is that the Federal Reserve has been nationalized by the United States government, which is appropriate because the power to issue currency was in our Constitution, was given to the government, was turned over to the banks in 1913 with the Federal Reserve Act, and it is not appropriate for that banks to control the issuing of the money. It's supposed to be the government. So that's all examples of the things that are going on in the financial world that indicate there's a huge shift going on inside the financial world. And many, many people all over the world know about this and know what is being developed there. The plan is being brought forward. So that's a little bit, and there's big changes going on in the political system, which we'll probably talk about in a little bit. So I want to talk now more about some things, some updates. One of the things that is really underway is on this planet, we are in a process of moving out of a certain karmic cycle. There are these huge cycles of time that have been created by the solar being. We are part of the solar being's cycles and energy. And there's been a process over the last thousands of years of working out karma on this planet. That is why it has been so difficult and painful, and it's been part of a process. But that karmic cycle is about to come to an end. And so all the karma that can be eliminated, worked through, and burned through is being done right now. And it's really something that takes time, because it takes time to work through karma. It requires your consciousness and your focus to do it. So there's these vast cycles that are now coming to a close. And we see the outworking of this karma in the Middle East and Africa, all over the world. It's really become very intense. And from our ordinary 3D perspective, it looks like, we're coming to the end of civilization. Well, we are, in a sense, the end of civilization as we've known it, but there is a new civilization emerging from all that's happening. And when we see the light pouring in and we understand the underlying forces, it's a very different picture that we have. So these waves of love that are flowing in more and more to our planet are very crucial to this shift and change. And one of the most important elements in all of this is that the moment is coming at a certain point where there will be a vast inflow of light, and especially of love, into our planet from the higher solar being at a level that we've never experienced before on this planet. And it will come as waves and waves of love of very high frequency. And when this occurs, it's going to cause vast changes in this world. Now, what's causing this is our solar system is a chakra. Just like our Earth is a chakra in the solar body, our solar system is a chakra in the body of a greater being called the heavenly being, made up of 7 solar systems. And those 7 solar systems are being brought into an alignment so that they are all lined up and totally resonant in this field. When that occurs, and it's in process, when that occurs, there will be this tremendous release of love throughout all the solar systems, and of course to our planet. It will be a frequency of love that's so potent that in order to remain here on this planet, people will have to have some degree of resonance with love as a fundamental energy. Somewhere in their being, be able to understand and resonate with love. Love is the basic building energy of our entire system. If people don't have that, they will not be able to remain on this planet. It will become too intense for them. So all the people who are incapable of that, who are lost in violence and hatred and all the other things, they will no longer be on this planet. That is definitely how things are going to unfold. That means that what happens is, and this doesn't mean you have to be perfectly loving all the time. It just means that you understand love and you can resonate with it at some level of your being. All those who do not will be moving to a system that is resonant with their own frequency, where they can continue their evolution in the conditions that match their own frequencies. That is exactly what is going to occur. And I'll get to the time frame in a moment. So this is is in process. And when that occurs, that is going to be the moment when we have this implementation of all these new ways of organizing our society that I'm talking about. And this is very different. There's been a lot of predictions about disaster scenarios. Well, the issue of disaster scenarios is they are random. If we had a giant earth change of some kind, which, by the way, I have been told very clearly, we will not be having any major disaster scenarios like that at all. No nuclear war, no nuclear exchange. None of that is going to happen on this planet, because the galactics will make sure that does not happen. And they have, and that's very clear. So this process will, by having it be a function of how much love we have, it's a sorting process, because the earth has been a place where beings can come and work out their patterns, their difficulties, and a lot of very heavy-duty people with a lot of darkness have come to the earth because the conditions are very dense here compared to other planets, and therefore their intense energies cannot go beyond the planet. That function of being like a transmuting center for the whole solar system and is now being ended. Our planet will no longer function in that way. We are moving into a cycle where it will be a place of joy, creativity, and unity. And we are going to see this. And it is part of the plan for us and for our planet. We have been through a great cycle of learning through suffering. We are now going to go through a cycle of learning through joy and creativity. And that is a wonderful future that we have in store for us. So everybody wants to know, when is this going to happen? Okay, so there are a lot of predictions out there about this, and I don't make exact time predictions. And the reason is because there is no exact time prediction that can be accurately made. Even the masters that I work with and others have said there is a process of this alignment of the 7 solar systems underway. It's well advanced, and we are moving to a time when that alignment will be complete. When that alignment is complete, we will have this tremendous release of this love energy on the earth. But even they don't know exactly when that alignment is going to occur. It's very well along, it's in process, and we're not talking about long years into the future. It is, it's not that far off, but I don't have a time that I can give you and say exactly when it's going to happen. And those kind of predictions are not realistic, because even the masters don't know. But it is coming, and we sense it, we feel it, we feel the increase in the energy on this planet. The amount of love is growing all the time. The projects being done to help the world is growing. There's so much wonderful stuff happening on this planet, and that is really, really important. And so that's the answer to, we are at a turning point, as some of you are saying, and that's true. We have passed the turning point. What I've been told is the new world that we will be living in, which is so inconceivably different from where we are now, is already present in another dimension, in the 5th dimension. We can live in that world now. We do not have to wait for anything to occur externally. By moving our consciousness to higher frequencies, living in that future, we are actually able to be in that consciousness, in that future now. And I am, my friend, many of the people I work with are, because we simply say, this is the world that we want to be in, and this is the world we create. It's a world of love, creativity, joy, friendship, unity, connection. All of that is the world that we live in. You can live in that world, in that future, as yourself there, and you can watch the present unfolding towards you from where it is now. But you're already standing in that world. That's the key. That is the magic here. This is part of the way we are going to move forward. And by doing that, we are helping create that world. We are actually helping to make it happen more rapidly. So in the meantime, of course, if you turn on the direct connection to the darkest lower planes, which is called television. The cabal is trying to convince everyone that the world is doomed. We're heading into a horribly dark future, and everybody should be frightened to death, and all of that. That is part of the struggle that we're in at this moment in time, to gain sovereignty over our consciousness, to be able to move and live in this higher awareness, and to realize that all that is an illusion that's being perpetrated by the darker side. Now, people will say, well, the scientists are saying we got global warming and species are disappearing and all these horrible things are happening. That may be true at a certain level. However, what they do not understand and do not factor in to all of what their calculations is that we have tremendous higher help from other civilizations, from the spiritual masters. All of that is very present on our planet right now. I'll give you some examples. You all know about Fukushima and the explosions that happened and the radiation that was released into the ocean. Well, if we had not had help from the galactics to neutralize that radiation, the Pacific would be a radioactive sink at this point and completely be destroyed. There is a scientist named Richard Klinghardt who has an institute called Klinghardt Institute, who studies fish, and especially fish in the Pacific. And he was studying all the fish after the Fukushima accident, and he saw that the fish indeed were suffering from radiation. There was something going on, and it was affecting the fish quite substantially. About a year and a half ago, he announced publicly that he was no longer studying the fish for radiation because he could find no evidence of any radiation affecting the fish in the Pacific. Now, there is no explanation that can be given on a traditional scientific level for how that happened. But the obvious answer is that the galactics have the technology to neutralize radiation, and they have been doing so all around Fukushima and in the ocean. If you actually go on the internet, you can find videos of the actual moment of around the time of the accident, and there are craft over that nuclear reactor area, and they're there. There are videos of them actually being present there. So they have been very involved in this process from the beginning, and they are very aware of the need for that kind of protection of the oceans. And they are doing many other things to help clean up the water and the air. They are neutralizing chemtrails, although chemtrails still exist, although they are reducing in certain areas. They are, any kind of toxic materials or things that were put in them are no longer present in those, and they are not toxic to human beings any longer. And a lot of them are actually disappearing. There are fewer and fewer of them. And certainly where we live, there are almost none left in this area. Some other people have say they're still there, but in this area they are not. So that's another way that they are actually neutralizing and helping us in our evolution. So there is a tremendous amount going on all the time. So I want to talk to you more about some other things. And there is a lot going on in the Middle East. The Middle East is, of course, a concern for everyone on our planet. It is such a huge area of karmic transformation and struggle. And that has been ongoing for a very long time. And I'll just tell you what I can say about it simply, that the Middle East is a continuation, the situation of great warfare that went on in other civilizations, especially the Atlantean civilization. And that was carried over through these kind of tribal wars into the Middle East at this time, in this cycle. And a lot of what we see going on there is karma being worked out, so that really is unfolding. And that is definitely happening. And it's important, although the suffering is very painful to observe, and it is very painful for the people, it is an opportunity to release the karma that people have over them, and free themselves of that ultimately. Even if they pass out of the physical body in this particular incarnation, it still means that they are going to be freed of all that karma and no longer have to be burdened by it in future lives, which is a great liberation for them. And this may sound somewhat, maybe not, you're not being compassionate. Of course, we must do everything we can to help everyone in that area, but it is important to understand the deeper cycle that's going on here. And there are many, many wonderful peace efforts being carried out in the Middle East. Search for Common Ground is very active there. There are other groups working, including United Religions, which is a group that brings together cooperation circles of from 3 or more religions, and they create projects and do wonderful work together and are working to change the consciousness in the Middle East. And this whole thing with ISIS ISIS will disappear. It is not going to continue to be an issue in the Middle East. And it offers no real threat to us here. And it is being steadily eroded and eliminated. So it is definitely on the wane at this point. So now people always want to know more about politics and what's happening in the political realm, because there is really a lot happening in our society, in our system. And this is really a crucial issue. And elections, as we know, are all guided and governed by money in this whole society right now. And this is a complete distortion of democracy, a complete distortion of the electoral process. What is happening is underway is going to be a very major reorganization of the political system. And this is going to be after the day of revelation or around this process, is the qualifications for running for office are going to become very different. Right now, the only qualification for running for office in our country is if you have a lot of money. You can have access to a lot of money. That's the only qualification, really. Anybody can do it. That is such a distortion of the truly democratic process. What is coming is a whole new set of criteria for being eligible. The criteria will include that the people who run have demonstrated that they can truly represent the highest and best interests of the people they're meant to represent, and that they are free from the control of the cabal and cabal money in their choices and decisions. All those who have been influenced by the cabal or under their control will not really actually be eligible. I've been told that at the current time, as far as the US Congress, this would eliminate 80% of the current membership of the Congress. If that happens, and when it happens, if these new eligibility requirements are placed in, then there would be a whole new group of good, lighted people who would come into the political process. They're not there now because they know the process is totally ruled by money. There's very little they could do to make it a better process, and they don't want to get involved in it. But if it was truly a fair and honest elections, and there was a whole new way of actually working with this, and there was a way that the government was really functional, there will be a lot of wonderful people coming forward into this process and helping us in our governance. And that's going to happen. That's part of the picture. That's part of the plan in governance. That means money will go out of it. There will be no more money influence in politics. It will be all about who can best represent the highest good of the people they represent and the highest good of the whole. Those will be the people in our government and in running our system, unlike what we have today. So I'm going to look at a few of these questions that are showing up. We have a lot of questions here, and just see what we would like to. Yeah, there's questions people have asked about, is Bernie Sanders part of the Light Alliance? And the answer is yes. He is being influenced by them. He is being what's called overlighted, and being inspired and energetically infused with energies from the Light Alliance. I mean, when he gets up and speaks to a large group of people, I've listened to him many times, clearly there is something flowing through him that is extraordinarily moving and powerful. And he is speaking the truth. He has his own framework. It is what he operates from. It's a social justice, social equity perspective, which is a noble thing. And he is standing for that. And he is speaking it with great power and great significance for the world. It's beautiful. He is not, in his consciousness, able to accept the paradigm very easily of higher civilizations actually working with us. So he's not really been actively engaged with the Galactic Light Alliance in a very full way, but he is expressing the ideas and the vision that they are wanting to see expressed and brought out into the world. He is definitely doing that. Now, the more controversial point is Hillary and Bill, the Clintons. And I know many of you have very, very mixed feelings about that, about Hillary especially. And, you know, there's been a long history of, you know, all kinds of things going on, some of which have been a little questionable, but always portrayed by her opponents, and much of it is the dark side, which she actually described at one point, making her out to be a villain. And it's really not true. She is a decent human being. She gets compromised, has been compromised to a degree by having to work within the system and what that requires to even function within it. However, there's some very interesting developments that I just got information about. And that is that she has known about the plan in a kind of general way, you know, that there's this movement to change the financial system and to do things with the political system. She's known about it in a kind of general way. However, recently, not within the last month, she has had this is what I got, and I can give you some evidence for this, direct contact with extraterrestrial civilization representatives. And of course, this doesn't mean an ET is going to drop down out of the sky and, you know, show up in a, you know, and there's a UFO over her house. That isn't the way it works. What happens is someone arrives and shows up in her experience who looks exactly like a human and can present to her or other people a vision and a picture of what's happening that is so profound and so powerful and so clear that it is just absolutely convincing. Not to mention that they can demonstrate telepathic abilities and other abilities that convince people that they are, in fact, not just from planet Earth. They are from some other system more advanced. And that is exactly what has happened to Hillary. And in that happening, it is a transformational experience beyond comprehension. And I've talked to many people who have been through this experience, and I've been through some of it myself. And I can tell you it is completely transformational. And what's happened is, if you notice that in the Benghazi hearings and in the last Democratic debate, if you were paying close attention to her energy, you will notice that she is just radiating energy at a whole new level that she was not before. And that is what has happened to her, is that she is now aligning fully with the Light Alliance, and she is fully radiating that energetic field. And I can see it, and I can sense it, and so can other people. And she came across so powerfully in both of those instances, in the debates and in the hearings, that everybody was just blown away, and it restored many, many people's faith in her as a potential president. And that is now really true, and it's it is there, and she is very likely going to be the president. And that is going to be a wonderful thing for us because of what has happened to her in her own process. Now, people have asked a lot about the refugee situation in Europe, in Germany, and everywhere. And that's a very, very major situation. It's very important. And what you can say about this, that there has been the concept of veils, veiling us from higher levels, which were instituted by the Cabal, veils that were separating us from one another, and many, many other kinds of keeping us in a sense of separateness. That has been part of the condition of our world for some time, for a long time. And it's very interesting about Europe, that Europe has created this whole new thing called the European Union. And the idea was to dissolve the barriers between all the states in Europe and create an open new society where people could move freely between them, and all of this was going to be a whole new world. However, the barrier still existed outside around Europe. And it was not including other human beings on the planet from other countries and other places. So all of a sudden, because of the upheaval and chaotic conditions all over the world, masses of people are flooding to Europe because they are looking for a better life, understandably. And it's creating tremendous pressure and tremendous difficult decisions and questions for all of Europe. However, it is an opportunity for human beings to choose compassion, to choose to recognize our universal brother-sisterhood with all beings on this planet. And it is not necessarily a permanent condition that all these people will settle in these other countries. Once the resolution of the war and all of the things that are happening in the Middle East is completed, a large number of them will return to their native country, and they will have tremendous help in rebuilding their societies and their physical infrastructure. That will occur. But at the moment, it is kind of like a test of the spiritual level and the spiritual reality of people, of where are they going to sit? Are they going to fight and be angry and oppose this, or are they going to have the compassion to help them and support them? They don't know it's temporary, but that is going to become obvious at some point. But that's part of the test. Are we really willing to help other human beings in such dire conditions? And that is part of the learning and the spiritual testing of our times, because we're all being spiritually tested. So this is all part of the process that we're going through. People have asked about Elliot Trudeau. Elliot Trudeau is definitely a lighted being. He is not necessarily a totally understanding the plan as I'm describing it, but he definitely has a great deal of light. He is being influenced by the Light Alliance, and he will be part of the new world and new governance. He's all the right understanding. He has a lighted heart, and he is moving Canada back to and forward into its true nature, which is a society of peace, of benevolence, of really being connected to the rest of the world in a very positive way. And he's really going to be a very powerful, positive force for the world. And the defeat of Harper was a great defeat for the Cabal, because Harper was totally aligned with the Cabal. And that is really very useful that he's been removed. It's part of the transition that we're in the middle of. So there's a lot of questions coming in. Just to answer the questions, yes, there will be a replay of this seminar, so you don't have to worry about that. And people who missed it can see it. There has been a question about the Keshe Foundation. Yes, they are working on developing a new kind of, all kinds of new free energy systems. Free energy systems are definitely part of the new world. They are going to be an essential part of it. They will be, there are so many of them already present on the Earth that have been invented by humanity, and even more that the galactic civilizations have. And they will really begin to be released, and they are starting to be released now. And that is a sign that these inventors know that the Cabal's power is receding, and it is receding, absolutely. And they have been under tremendous pressure and persecution, and even horrible things have been done to inventors of these systems. But now that kind of pressure and intensity against them is dropping radically, and they know it. And they communicate. They know what's going on, and now more and more of them are starting to come forward and offering their systems, very freely to the world. And so this is the part of the process. This leads into the kind of long-term future of our planet, because Earth is meant to be a beautiful garden planet. That was its original state when it was created, and that is the state that will be restored and recreated here on this Earth. That is absolutely, definitely, it will be, in a sense, the prime directive of our Earth life. All of us will be focusing and helping to make that happen, which means taking care of, with food, shelter, clothing, healthcare, education, and opportunities for creativity for every single human being on this planet. That will be the focus, as well as completely restoring the environment with all the technologies that we have available and all of what the Galactics can help us with, which they can, and they will. Tremendous ability to clean up toxic waste of all kinds, remove all the junk in the ocean. All of these things can be done, and it's underway already. It's starting to happen. It is happening. So one of the things that we have as part of the problem in the Middle East is you have 40% unemployment of the Arab youth. And this is all these young men and women, but men especially, who cannot, if you don't have money, you can't get an apartment, you can't get married, you can't have a family. And so there's all these young men, and they are young, powerful, full of testosterone, and there's no place for them to go and nothing for them to do. What do? Well, then these Muslim fanatics come along and say, well, here we'll give you a cause to fight for. We'll fight for the, get rid of the infidel and all the other stuff they put out. And these young men go into that because they don't have much else to choose from. And that's part of what's causing the problem. The plan is, with free energy, we will be able to set up desalination plants all over the Middle East, and we will be able to provide adequate water to re-green and recreate the entire region of the Middle East into the beautiful garden it once was, and actually start regenerating all the life there in that part of the world. And this is a project that will engage the imagination and the energy of young people in that area, and will start a whole rebirth. It will be part of what will be going on all over the world. And this is part of how this whole process is going to change the situation in the world. It's hard to see it when we're stuck in the conditions that we have. But if you can move into this new world and imagine the conditions that will be present, then it becomes quite solvable. It is not something beyond our capacity to deal with. And this is part of the way things are going to unfold. Let's see, what else do we have here? We have, oh yeah, people are asking about artificial intelligence. Other way? No, here it is. Okay, there's a question here from Isabel about transhuman artificial intelligence and robotics. And, there's this whole big thing going on in the computer mesmerized community about how we're going to be able, Ray Kurzweil and all this singularity business, that we're going to ultimately be able to transfer our consciousness into a robotic machine, and our brain will be able to have all of its stuff inside of a computer, in a robot. This is the most ridiculous nonsense that I've ever heard. And the reason it's nonsense is because, first of all, that consciousness that is working in that world, although it has brought many benefits and it has many good things about it, has become so hypnotized by technology. It's like technology is the God that they worship. And they do not understand anything about the process of a soul incarnating into a physical form through the life thread, putting down the energy and recreating the physical, emotional, and mental body and the brain and all the rest of it, which makes us a living soul in flesh, a living soul here present in the body. That is the uniqueness of what we are as human beings. And that can never, ever be replicated in any kind of machine. It's not possible. The other idea is that somehow the machines are going to take over. They're going to decide we're dispensable and just get rid of us all, which is another piece of crazy nonsense. And because we created the machines, they are only a function of our own programming and what we put into them. And the idea that they're somehow going to outgrow and learn, they can learn some things from each other, but they're never going to develop self-consciousness, because that's a gift from God that we all have, self-consciousness, and the machines will never have it. And so this is all just crazy thinking based on this kind of worship of technology as the ultimate sort of future for humanity. The future of humanity will include technology, but it will not be technology as the overriding guiding force or the guiding light for all of who we are as a society. Within the galactic civilizations, there's a point where a civilization can choose to be totally technologically oriented and be totally focused in that technology process. Other civilizations have focused on the inner development, developing the inner powers, telepathy, the ability to translocate, the ability to do many, many things that human beings would consider impossible or just magic, that they can do and they are able to do. The most advanced civilizations actually combine highly advanced technology with a high level of spiritual development, which allows them to enter the universal field, the field of oneness we talked about, the matrix of love, and recognize every form of life is sacred, every form of life is to be respected and allowed its own process of development and unfoldment. And they bring that support and that kind of help wherever it can be beneficial, without interfering with the free will choices of each group and society, planet, and system. That is their purpose, to help the unfoldment of all life everywhere. And they do that with great spiritual insight and extremely advanced technologies that make any of our technologies look like child's toys. They're really nothing compared to the kind of technologies that they have. So this is all unfolding. This is what we are going to learn as we become more and more familiar with what the actual, what these technologies are and what they can offer to us.
Any questions?
Okay, so, okay, people are asking a lot about cell towers and Wi-Fi and these things. Yes, they for some people who are very sensitive, these things can become very big problems, very problematic. And there are some devices available now on the market that can help to mitigate these energies. Q-links is one that I find to be helpful, and there are others, and you can get that on the internet. And I am quite sure that once we move through this huge transfiguration process we're going through, that better and more beneficial ways of communicating will be available to us, and we will not need to use the kind of simplistic technologies we have today that are not that helpful You know, I mean, they allow us to have cell phones, but at a certain cost, and that will be shifted. You know, anything that's going to cause any harm to any life form on planet Earth in the future will not be part of our civilization. It's just not going to be there. Now, that may sound like a pie in the sky, but the reality is that these are actual rules of the game that will be implemented as we move forward into the new civilization. It's underway. It is definitely in process. And it's really moving, you know, us into a new civilization, a new way of being. We got, oh yeah, someone asked about Monsanto. Well, as many of us know, Monsanto has been a company that is owned by the cabal. It is extremely destructive and harmful to the world in so many of the things it does. And what's happened now, you'd be interested to know that they just announced that they're closing 3 of their research facilities in different locations in the United States. Their research facility in France was burned to the ground by an arsonist, and that's gone. And their profit has dropped 25% in the last quarter. They are on the ropes, and their day is done. They are going on the way out, and they will. And so will every company that does not do anything and creates harm for the world. Those companies will not continue to prosper. And as we have seen with the oil industry, oil is now gone way, way down. They're laying off people all over. Obama has just vetoed the pipeline, and they're not going to explore in the Arctic. You know, Exxon is being sued by the New York Attorney General for fighting against the recognition of climate change, on and on and on. I mean, wherever we look, we can see that all these dark, really destructive patterns, companies or situations, and you know, are being dismantled. They're being taken down, as they should be, because they are no longer going to be part of the world. So we can, if you really look carefully, connect the dots, you can see that our world is moving very rapidly towards this vision that I'm describing. It is not something that's just way off there in the future somewhere. There is a lot happening, and that includes big pharma. As someone asked, yes, big pharma is has been one of the major profit centers for the cabal, and that is really in process. And more is coming out about the terrible effects of all these drugs and the gigantic profits that they're making. And that's ultimately going to be challenged right to the core. It will no longer be part of our healthcare system, because we're going to have new kinds of healthcare. That healthcare will be based on new technologies, which some people already know something about, and that is really coming. The healthcare will be based on the DNA. DNA is the key to health. And as scientists are now beginning to discover, DNA is not, as they long thought, fixed, so that once whatever DNA you're given, that's it. That's your throw of the dice, and you're stuck with it. That's not true, and that's been proven now quite substantially by Bruce Lipton and many others. So what we have is, what DNA must have to be healthy is light. It must have light flowing through it in order to be able to maintain its health and the health of the body. The DNA determines the health of the body. The healthier the DNA, the healthier your body will be. So this is one of the benefits of doing light meditations. As we bring that light meditation through our system and through all of our DNA, and there's a very specific meditation that is in Transfiguration of Our World, and if you don't have it, I strongly urge you to get the book and use that meditation, which it's towards the end of the book, of bringing DNA, light into your DNA, and it was given to me directly by the master. It's a very wonderful, powerful meditation to actually help you bring that light right through and anchor it into your DNA, which will do wonders to help your health. And I really recommend, you know, that process. So now there's also going to be a lot of other changes in the whole healthcare system, because people are asking about, you know, is it, are we going to meet with DNA? Sorry, meet with the Galactics? And the answer is yes. And there's a very, very carefully calibrated process that is being planned on how that's going to happen. And I'll explain that to you. We must go through this process of clearing out of our Earth all those beings at that level of energy, that frequency of hatred, violence, and all the negative, extreme negativity that is causing all the problem on the planet, and the ones who want to control and dominate and, you know, do all the things that are being done that are so terrible for humanity. That has to be cleared. That's going to happen with this great inflow of love that's going to flow into the planet, and people will be moved into systems that is exactly resonant with their own frequency, and if they're not able to withstand the love energy that will be present here. That's the first step. When that happens, then we are going to have, that's called the day of revelation. And the revelation is that we are going to be told in a very specific way exactly what has been happening on this planet from the beginning. We are going to get the truth of our existence here on Earth. That is going to be given to us. And what I've been told is that they have 40 hours of pre-planned, ready video, ready to go, which will be broadcast all over the world in different languages for 40 hours continuously once we go through the day of revelation, which will explain to everyone what has happened, why the world has been the way it is, and what is going on with this new massive inflow of love, and how the systems are going to be reorganized for the benefit of everyone, and all that will be put, how it's going to be put in place, and it will be actually underway at that moment. And so once we have the distribution of the basics of life to everyone on the planet, and people know that they're going to have all the money that they need to go to live, because the number one issue right now that's holding back our planet is survival fear. People are so afraid that they will not have the money, or that somehow they will not survive, whether it's from war or attacks or, you know, disease or just the conditions of Earth. There's a massive survival fear, which has been deliberately inculcated by the cabal to keep people under control. Because if people are fearful of their survival, you can manipulate them more easily. And that's been cultivated and created through the control of the financial system, political system, and the pharmaceuticals, and all of it, the media. And all that's going to break down. Once that whole thing is that we relieve that survival fear, it's in the subconscious of humanity. It affects everybody. Even if you're super wealthy, you're going to be affected by that survival fear. And that when that's relieved and released, and people start to feel comfortable, everybody can like take a deep breath and go, okay, I'm going to be all right. My family's going to be all right. My community is going to be all right. And people really start to experience that and know that that's true, and can see how it's being done, and it's actually a long-term vision and plan. When that occurs, there's going to be a huge shift in just the overall energetic frequency of the planet. If the galactics appeared to us today with the condition that we have on Earth, we would have chaos. It would be a total madhouse, because all the religious fanatics would be claiming it's the appearance of the devil. All the open-minded people would be very interested. Other people who are not properly prepared would just be freaking out. And the whole thing would be a total crazy mess. It wouldn't work. It would be a failure. However, if we can establish these conditions where everybody has what they need and they can feel a little bit more relaxed, then, and they have understood that the galactic civilizations had something to do with helping bring this about, there will be a very great openness to what they bring and actual contact with them. And they will come and they will meet with us. What I've been told is the Pleiadians are the ones who most closely resemble humans in form, and they will likely be the ambassadors who meet us, probably at the United Nations. And they will explain who they are and what their relationship to us is, which is they are part of our great galactic family. Some of our DNA comes from these other civilizations and beings from other worlds. And it's all, we are all part of this great family. And of course, once that condition is established, they will offer us, they'll give us time to consider all this and take it in and work with it. They are going to offer us the possibility of becoming part of the Galactic Light Alliance. We will, and we as humanity will choose to do that without a doubt. And that means that we will be able to travel to other planets, other systems, and fulfill our role, which is to take everything that we've learned on this planet through all of human experience, all the suffering, all the struggles, all of what we've gone through, and all the beauty, all the music, all the art, all the wonderful things we've created, and share that with other civilizations, because that's what you do when you become part of the Galactic Alliance. Your function is to go out and help other civilizations grow and evolve if they want you. That's it. That's what you do. And that's what we will be doing. And that's part of our destiny. And that is really where we are ultimately going to go. So, you know, and that, of course, explains, for those of you who are interested in this, why the Cabal has been so intent on terrifying humanity about galactics and about, you know, about ETs. You know, in every movie, most of the movies, and except for the few like Close Encounters of the Third Kind and ET, most of the films and the television, movies, books, everything about ETs has been, they are terrible, horrible beings who are going to come and destroy our civilization and eat you or some such thing. And they have also, the Cabal has suppressed every possible bit of information they could about contact with other civilizations or even their existence, because they knew that the only real threat to their power on this planet is the galactic civilizations. And they were right. And what happened was there was a playing field on this planet where the galactics were allowed to contribute a certain amount of help to us, but not directly intervene or get directly involved, just kind of give some support. And they did give a little some support during World War II, but they were not allowed to directly intervene or do anything direct, except prevent nuclear war. After 9/11, which was the event with the greatest unintended consequence in history, the playing field was changed. The galactics were given permission to radiate tremendous amounts of light, to remove the leadership of the Dark Cabal, and to begin to interact and work with humanity and human leaders, those who are open and interested, and create this new plan to implement it fully in the world. And that is what they've been doing since 2002, which was when they began the removal of the Cabal, and have now fully completed that. There are no more dark ETs on the planet or around the planet. They have all been completely removed. And we are now working with the whole process. Now, there are still a certain number of people who have been part of the cabal, who are not ETs, although there was some interbreeding with humans long ago, but there are a lot of human beings who have benefited greatly from this wonderful control system, not so wonderful, wonderful for them, this control system where they gained all this power and money and everything else. They are not, many of them are really gradually, the preferred scenario of the Light Alliance is to turn them to the light. And even some of the original dark ETs have been, some of them have been turned to the light, most of them not. But there are many human collaborators, cooperators with them who are being turned to the light. And that's very important because they have the skills. They know how the system works. They know how to do a lot of things. Many of them are very capable. If they can change the motivation, and that is very important. And so that they can now work as help and collaborators with you, with the Light Alliance. That's going on. Okay, so we're moving towards that more and more. And as that happens, they are going to actually, the pressure on the cabal members, the remaining human cooperators, is increasing tremendously. That's why we're having so many leaders in the financial world resign, disappear. They're all running off to hide in their mountain caves in Switzerland where they have racks of golds and barrels of diamonds stored away, thinking that's how they're going to be safe. What a joke. Because the Galactics actually have the technology that can locate any substance at any level of depth within the planet to any degree anywhere on our planet. Absolutely nothing can be hidden. Nothing, not even one penny. And they will locate all these great treasure caches and they will bring them up into the light, and that will be used to help provide for humanity. And that is definitely part of the plan. So they are under, the cabal, remaining cabal is under tremendous pressure everywhere. And that is, and they are steadily weakening every single day. And you can see evidence of this. And they get more and more desperate. And they're trying to figure out a way out of their pickle, and they can't. And they know it. And they know ultimately that they already have lost. The game is over. And they are now completely defeated. And it's just a matter of working out the final stages of how this is going to be wrapped up. That's where we are. And so this is very important. Now, people have asked about the Pope and Obama and Trump and all these people and Putin. So let's talk about some of them, because I know you probably have questions about them. First of all, the Pope is definitely a very powerful key leader in the Light Alliance. He is doing exactly what is necessary. There's a lot of wonderful stories about the Pope. I'll tell you one that's really crucial, which is when he was nominated to be the Pope. Previous election, he was not voted in. In this election, he was nominated. They had the vote. He won. He won the vote, but he had to accept. He went out on the balcony in the Vatican and he stood there. He tells this story, and he said to God, whatever, he says, I don't feel I'm capable of doing this. I'm not powerful enough, I'm not big enough to do this. And he said, at that moment, this incredible light came over him, this energy, and it has not left him since. And I know people who knew him in Argentina before he was ever well known, and they said he was a wonderful man, but he was not the man who is now the Pope. And that's what happens when people are in the position and have the willingness and the purity of heart and mind to be part of the Light Alliance. You are overlighted and given the energy to do everything you need to do. And that is really, really the key to the whole thing. let's talk. So what he's doing, he's setting up the template by saying we have to care for the world's poor the way we cannot make corporations more important than people. That we have to save the environment. We have to focus on protecting the environment for future generations. Let's not judge, people of different sexual orientations. On and on. Let's not. If you have a divorce, you have to leave the Catholic Church. On and on. I mean, he's not perfect. He has issues around really allowing equality of women, but overall, he's doing a tremendous service and putting out this vision. The other thing that's really important is his auric field is about 3 miles out, and everywhere he goes, he has this phenomenal effect on people and crowds and groups. He's doing that everywhere he goes. That is another very powerful service that he's rendering. So all that is part of his contribution. He is also, working with and supporting. He knows what the plan is. He has been in contact with galactic representatives. Part of the new financial plan is debt forgiveness. And he is actually declaring a Jubilee year on December 6th. And that Jubilee year is when there is a forgiveness of all past sins, forgiveness of yourself, forgiveness of those who have done things to you. And it also has traditionally long ago included debt forgiveness. And I find it very interesting that he's already announced we're going to have this Jubilee year starting in December 8th. And that means forgiveness of many things. So this is really, really interesting. And so I want you to consider this as, and if you want to know more about my thoughts about the Pope, I have on my blog, there is a whole article I wrote about the Pope and why showing all the reasons why I am convinced, absolutely sure, that he is part of the Light Alliance. So there's much more to talk about, but I'm gonna just tell you a little bit about what's coming up, and there is many things that we are going to be doing, and that is coming up in the future. So I put up a little note about subscribing to Galactic News that you can do, which is going to be our ongoing series. I'll be doing this every month, giving updates on what is happening from the very latest downloads that I'm getting and how that connects to what's happening in the world. So you can click on that little link there, and you will be able to actually go and subscribe to Galactic News. It's only $15 a session, or $75 for 6 sessions. It's cheap at twice the price, and I think you will find it extremely helpful and extremely useful in your work, in understanding the world and in making a contribution. If you're informed, if you know what's going on a deeper level, you can help other people to understand things in a new way. That's what humanity needs. More and more people as these light beings, radiating the truth and light throughout all of our population everywhere, that help people to actually understand what's happening and why. And so we also have a brand new website we just put up 2 days ago called livethefuturenow.com. And it includes the Transfiguration website that has been up for quite some time. And you can go there as well to sign up for Galactic News. I'm also offering, so it's livethefuturenow.com. And I'm also offering a teleseminar that I'm going to be doing on accelerating your spiritual evolution. And this will be all about how you, with your own process, can work with raising your frequency, developing more and more awareness of the higher levels of consciousness and beings, and what you can do to help and support this evolution that's going on the planet. And we're going to be, in future sessions here, we're going to be talking about how to read energies. I'm going to get much further into how to work with your DNA, how to evaluate psychic guidance and channeling, We'll do some exploration of the secret space program that some of you probably know about. And I'll give you all the latest updates on the financial system, what's going on in politics in the Middle East, and anything else that emerges, including we'll do a real deep run through on Obama, on how the military has been transformed into a Light Alliance participant, which it is now fully. And we'll do a little analysis of Donald Trump and what he's all about, and Obama. So there's going to be a lot more going on as we move forward into future sessions. So I just want to thank you all. It's been a real joy to be with you, and I hope this has been interesting. And tell your friends, and I invite you to sign up and be part of this ongoing series. And it's going to get more and more exciting as events unfold on this planet. There's no question about that in my mind. And that will be very, very interesting to explore with you as we continue to go through this incredible transfiguration process. So this video of this session will be available after, probably in a day or so, on Vimeo. Everybody who's signed up, whether they were on this session or not, will receive the link so that you can actually view this again. And you can share this link with other people if you like. That's fine. And for that video. And in the future, they will be paid. It will be a paid subscription. So those people who are paid will be able to be part of it. So I want to thank you all again. And it's been really good. I think the system has worked reasonably well. I hope it worked for you. And so I'm going to now allow you to, what we're going to do is we're going to allow you to go to a place where you can directly sign up. I'm going to send you to that page, and you can sign up right there directly, or you can click on the link that was present on the chat room. Okay, so much love and blessings, and have a wonderful time until we talk again. Love and joy to you always.